been a while since we've done a trade recap. And being that I am the most woke trader, leader of the most woke trading community, Forex that is, soon to include crypto, and we will slowly take over the world, cover the stock world eventually too, once I have enough money that I want to put into stocks and crypto kind of gets boring. What was I going on with this? Anyways, the most woke trading leader of the most woke trading community in the world is going to teach you something. A trade that he took this week, it was the biggest, bestest, most significant trade of the week, and it will teach you a lot of stuff, and I don't know what else to say. Let's jump into it. So as we're jumping into it, guys, if you do want to follow some free trading signals, make sure you join the Instagram. I post a couple things on my story there, but let's jump right into it. Don't forget to join the Instagram. Please download Instagram and join Instagram. You guys can't hear it, but girlfriend's talking to me downstairs.
My girlfriend's making fun of me, boys. Somebody better give her a spanking.
All right, guys, so looking at the charts here, we do see that there is a slowing down of this overall downtrend, and we do see that way back here on the 4-hour, we are seeing sweeps below these lows and then massive moves of momentum into the other direction. This gives us a strong indication that what's going to happen is it's going to pull back, it's going to bounce around here, and then it's going to come back here on the massive time frame. Now what we see when we look at the 1 hour is we have actually come back down and we've gone to an area of somewhat interest, right? So let's just pull this over there, right? You know, it would have been nice if it went a little bit deeper here, but that is satisfactory to me, and I would be able to create a long bias on this after I see that this momentous move broke back up and it came right back into this range. So the range I'm talking about is essentially, let's just draw kind of a box here, these lows to those highs, right? That's the range-based trade, and this essentially what I was looking at this is this was simply a stop hunt in multiple candles. So now that we've kind of determined our bias there, what we're going to be looking for is the exact same thing that we just saw here, right? On the 4-hour, we just looked at it a second ago, where we saw the sweeping action, the momentous move, and then it was coming back to retest this area. So what did we figure the exact same thing would happen? The sweep, the momentous move, and then coming back to retest that area. Now, where did we want to test? Oh, that is the big question, is it not? Okay, so if we're looking at this zone right here, you can see that on the hour, we see that there is a simple little demand zone right there. We've drawn that. That was the order block that turned the price. And we can go down to the lower time frame and we can draw this as a simple breaker box. Maybe I'll draw it on the 15-minute. So it's a little bit clearer. Might be a little bit clearer here. So this is the original point that we've actually jumped off of. Maybe I'll redraw this actually. So it's a little bit nicer. Right there, right? Might be a little bit drawn off a little bit there, but we can see that right there. That's the demand area on the lower time frame, and that's what we were really looking for. Now, what I did was waited essentially for any sort of significant bounce off that level. We wanted a tight entry, and essentially all we did was we looked for that significant bounce off of that level. We saw the move up, and then a quick pullback, we entered right away. And it did actually just kind of slow down, and it stopped us out after doing a couple really nice wicks. I was watching this on the 5-minute, and we saw that it was really wicking really well in our favor here, and we thought for sure that it was actually going to come back up. It was coming back up quite quickly every single time it would come back down, and it actually just barely got us out with one last little sweep there, and it kept sweeping the lows just slightly. So our stop was slightly too tight that time, but then it did end up going in our favor. Now the next day, this was on Monday of this week, the next day we still had that same bias, right? Because originally we were looking at the higher time frame. We still wanted to get long here because this major move here, this was the retest. and then the major move. So we were satisfied that it wasn't going to go below this anymore, right? Because this was the major move of the testing of that previous order block on the major time frame. Let's just throw it on the daily once again. You can see how that's actually tested that significant line right there, right? So let's jump this back down. And we still want to follow that same bias. So we're looking for another entry, right? So what we did is we got a little bit lower this time, which was a little bit concerning, but we were still able to get in on a trade after we saw that it was just creating these lows, this base here, right, with a lot of resting stop orders behind that level. And then we quickly just went a little bit past it. And if you're watching, you can see on the 5-minute that we've actually made a higher low here, and that's essentially the entry point that we looked for after we started seeing this move up right here, and we've closed right on that candle right there, confirming to me that we've made a higher low and we're now breaking back up. What I did is simply entered right away, and it was roughly around this area with a slightly wider stop just in case there was another little wick beyond, and we took an extra trade here as we started to explode. As you can see, there was just another one that I entered a little bit later on this retest. So our targets for this trade, it was quite easy. We saw that this was the previous range highs that we were looking for. So that's our original target. That's what I wanted to target in this first trade right there. So that's where we took off 50% of our profit right around there. So that gives us roughly a 6R and a almost 3R trade. Now, mind you, I did actually take some off on these highs here because it was the end of the day for me, and I did want to go to bed and I didn't want to watch it anymore. That's right around when I'm going to bed. So I took it off a little bit here, and we had a little bit of a smaller R, 2R on that one, and then a little bit less on this one too. So going on to the very next day, we see it coming back very deep all the way down to our entry. We were a little bit worried, but we wanted to let it run because why? Our trade was still valid, or still wanted to follow that same bias. We hadn't moved our stops yet. And after we started rallying really strong here on the New York Open once again, that's when I moved my stops. Started bringing back up here, and then I moved my stops to break even on both trades. Now we had already taken a little bit of profit, so this wick down, this was the FOMC, and you can see how annoying that is to be stopped out on the exact entry point that we were originally entered on, but that's fine. We got stopped out on this one, and then we let the rest of it run. And that FOMC was just wacky. We didn't expect it to be that far because it actually was quite far into our favor. And I think we lost a few $100s or something of our profit there, and we would have actually made way more after that because this trade was a few $100s sitting on the table at that point, I believe. Riding up for the rest of that day, again at the end of the day, I took some more profits off, and I'm leaving still a little bit, about maybe 20% on the table. Right as I was going to bed after that day, and we are looking at a final target of these tops here. I do not expect to hit them because I have now moved my stop just barely behind this current level, and I fully expect that to be hit at some point today or tomorrow before rallying back up or completely breaking down even further. But this was the original final target, and we didn't actually hit that, but the best we did get was this trade to about 9R. And unfortunately, we only took off a little bit on that trade, so that was not my best trade ever. My best trade ever is still set to be 11R at the final take profit, but that was a very, very nice trade. Hopefully that helps you guys kind of understand the logic here. I'm going to let this little bit run left over, but either way, it's going to stop out, and it's not a big deal. All right, guys, hopefully that is enough to help you understand kind of the logic of trading like a professional trader throughout a week. That was essentially the major trade I took. All of the other trades didn't really matter as much in a sense. They were smaller, they weren't as big. This was a reoccurring multi-day trade that I had going for essentially it's the fourth day now. I entered on Monday and now it's Thursday. Most likely it's going to be stopped out on Friday, and that's all that trade is. If you guys do want to watch some of this more stuff, all this logic in more detail, please make sure you watch the stream. So you have to hit the bell notification so you'll be notified. I stream during the New York session, so please make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to join a Discord community, the link in the description below. There is also a Signal group if you're interested in such of that kind.